There is something I need to tell you, something that will change the way you see every painful moment of your life, every closed door, every betrayal, every season where you felt completely alone. Every time you asked God, why is this so hard? Why does it feel like I'm always fighting? Why does it feel like every time I take one step forward, something pulls me 2 steps back? I need you to stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand something about your life that the enemy has been desperately trying to keep you from seeing. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Let me take you back. Before you were born, before your parents knew your name, before this world even had a chance to shape you, God was already there. And he looked at you. Not at who you would become, not at what you would achieve, not at how perfect you would be. He looked at you exactly as you would be, with all your flaws, all your failures, all your doubts. And he said, that one is mine. That one is chosen before you took your first breath, before you spoke your first word, before you made your first mistake. God already had a plan written for your life that was so specific, so detailed, so perfectly designed, that nothing the enemy could throw at you would ever be able to permanently stop it. That is not a nice thought. That is a spiritual reality, and it is the foundation of everything I'm about to tell you. Now, here is where the story gets interesting. Because the moment God chose you, something else happened. The enemy saw it too. And he made a decision. If God has chosen that one, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure they never walk in it. I'm going to make sure they never realize who they are. I'm going to make them feel small, broken, unworthy, and forgotten. I'm going to fill their mind with doubt. I'm going to surround them with people who do not see their worth. I'm going to make the road so hard, so painful, so exhausting that they give up before they ever reach their destiny. And if you are honest with yourself right now, has that not been your story? Has the road not been harder than it should be? Have you not faced battles that felt too big, too personal, too relentless to be random? Have you not had moments where you looked at your life and thought, why me? Why is it always me? That is not an accident. That is a confirmation. The enemy does not waste his time on people who are not a threat. Lions do not get attacked by sheep. You have been under attack because you are carrying something powerful, something the kingdom of darkness cannot afford to let you walk in freely. Think about Joseph, a young man with a dream, a calling so big that even he could not fully understand it. Chosen by God for an incredible purpose to save an entire nation from famine, to be a vessel of God's provision on a scale that would impact millions of lives. But before he stepped into that purpose, look at what happened. His own brothers threw him into a pit, not strangers, his own family. The people who were supposed to love him, protect him, celebrate him. They looked at his anointing and decided they could not handle it. They threw him into a pit and sold him into slavery for 20 pieces of silver. And Joseph ended up in Egypt, far from home, far from his father, far from everything he knew, a slave in a foreign land. And just when things started to look up, when he had earned trust, when he had found favor, a false accusation landed him in prison. Years passed. Long, dark, silent years. Years where the dream must have felt like a cruel joke. Years where God must have felt absent. Years where the promise felt completely dead. But here's what the enemy did not understand. Every single thing that was designed to destroy Joseph was actually positioning him. The pit built his humility. The slavery built his work ethic. The prison built his patience and his faith. And when the moment finally came, when Pharaoh had a dream that no one could interpret, and a servant remembered the young Hebrew prisoner who had once interpreted his dream, Joseph walked out of that prison and into a palace in a single day. From the lowest pit to the second highest position in the most powerful nation on earth. In one day, because God does not need years to restore what the enemy stole. He just needs one moment, one word, one divine appointment. And everything changes. And then there is David, the man after God's own heart. The shepherd boy who would become the greatest king Israel ever knew, before he ever wore a crown. Before he ever sat on a throne, God looked at an entire family of impressive, tall, strong sons and said, not one of them. And then he sent the prophet to look at the one nobody had even bothered to invite to the gathering. The youngest, the forgotten one, the one out in the field with the sheep while everyone else was at the table. And God said, that one, anoint that one. And from that day on, the Spirit of God was on David in a powerful way. But did the throne come immediately? No. Did the blessing flow without resistance? Absolutely not. Before David ever wore a crown, he spent years running for his life, hiding in caves, surrounded by enemies, hunted by the very king he served faithfully, writing psalms from the depths of despair, crying out to God in the darkness. There were moments, you can read them in the Psalms, where David was so broken, so exhausted, so overwhelmed that he could barely find the words to pray. And yet, and this is the key, he kept calling on God, he kept worshiping in the cave, he kept trusting in the darkness, and God was forging a king. Because you cannot forge gold without fire. You cannot build a chosen one without a battle. The cave was not a punishment. It was a classroom. And Moses, the deliverer of an entire nation, the man who would part the Red Sea, receive the 10 Commandments, and lead 2 million people out of 400 years of slavery. Before any of that happened, Moses spent 40 years in the desert. 40 years, not 40 days, not 40 weeks. 40 years of silence, obscurity, and waiting. After he had tried to do things in his own strength and failed, after he had run from everything he had known. 40 years of tending sheep in a desert while his people suffered in slavery. And God was not absent in those 40 years. He was preparing the most patient, the most humble, the most surrendered version of Moses that could ever exist. Because the mission was, too, important for someone who still relied on their own strength. God needed a Moses who had been completely emptied of himself, so that when the time came, it would be unmistakably God moving through him. Not Moses, God. And I need you to hear this about your own waiting season, about your own desert, about your own cave, about your own pit. God has not forgotten you. He has not changed his mind. He has not moved on to someone else. He is doing in you what he did in Joseph, what he did in David, what he did in Moses. He is building something so deep, so unshakable, so genuinely rooted in him that when the moment comes, nothing will be able to stop it. The enemy thought the pit would end Joseph's story. God used it to write the greatest chapter. The enemy thought the cave would break David. God used it to forge a king. The enemy thought the desert would make Moses give up. God used it to prepare the greatest deliverer in history. And the enemy thinks that what you are going through right now is going to stop you. But God is using it to position you. Now I want to talk about something that most people in the faith space do not talk about openly. And that is the spiritual reality of being chosen. Because being chosen does not mean your life is easy. It does not mean the path is smooth. It does not mean the blessings flow without resistance. In fact, in many cases, being chosen means the exact opposite. It means the warfare is real. It means the attacks are strategic. It means the enemy knows your name and has specifically assigned opposition to your life. Because here is what he understands that you might not have fully grasped yet. A chosen one walking fully in their calling as one of the most dangerous things to the kingdom of darkness. One person fully surrendered to God, fully walking in their identity, fully operating in their gifts, can reach thousands, can shift atmospheres, can break generational cycles, can point entire families, communities, even nations toward God. That is why the warfare is so intense. That is why it feels so personal. Because it is personal. The enemy is not randomly attacking you. He is specifically targeting what God has placed inside of you. But here's the good news, and I need you to really hear this. The same God who chose you before the foundation of the world is the same God who goes before you into every battle. The same God who prepared Joseph's path through the prison is the same God preparing your path right now. The same God who kept David safe in the caves is the same God covering you in your cave right now. The same God who spoke to Moses from a burning bush in the middle of a desert is the same God who is speaking to you in this very moment. He has never left, not for a single second, not in your worst moment, not in your deepest failure, not in your longest season of silence. He has been there, building, preparing, positioning, working all things, every single thing, together for your good. And so I want to ask you something right now, in this moment. What has the enemy been using to make you feel like you are not chosen? What lie has he been whispering that has made you question whether God still has a plan for your life? Is it your past? Is it your failures? Is it the people who walked away? Is it the doors that closed? Is it the years that have passed without the promise showing up? Whatever it is, I want you to lay it down today. Because none of it disqualifies you. None of it surprises God. None of it is bigger than the calling He placed on your life before you were born. You were chosen. Not because you are perfect, but because He is. Not because you have it all together, but because He does. Not because you are the strongest or the most qualified, but because His strength is made perfect in your weakness. You are a chosen one, set apart, called, anointed, covered, protected, and loved with a love that nothing in all of creation can ever take away from you. So here is what I want you to do after this video. I want you to make a declaration out loud where you are right now. Say it with me. I am chosen. I am not an accident. I am not too late. I am not forgotten. God has a plan for my life, and nothing the enemy has done, is doing, or will ever do can stop what God has already written. I am a chosen one, and I will walk in it every single day for the rest of my life, because the day God chose you was the most important day of your existence. And every day since then, every battle, every breakthrough, every valley, every mountain, the moment you finally, fully, completely walk in who you were always meant to be. Do not give up now. Your suddenly is coming. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Your promise has not expired. And when God moves, nobody can stop it. Not the enemy, not your past, not your circumstances. Nobody. You are chosen. You are loved. You are called. Now walk in it.